This is my Apple IIGS, and this is the Kensington System Saver 2GS, and it has one problem. And we're gonna fix it. You might be wondering, what is the System Saver? Although it's not an incredibly rare accessory, it's a little uncommon. At first glance, you're like, oh, well, it's an easy way I could turn everything on. We have two buttons on the front that light up when plugged in that are also stylized to match the rest of the system. One is labeled Master and the other is labeled Auxiliary. These turn on power outlets on the back. These two here for Master, labeled Computer and Monitor, and the other Auxiliary are labeled Printer and Auxiliary, but you can plug whatever you want in here. I had a lava lamp plugged in here at one time. Another obvious feature, and the issue with this unit, is the fan. We'll talk about the replacement for that in a second, so it provides cooling for your system. But another feature, and you wouldn't know this unless you actually read the manual, there is surge protection circuitry built in here. So not only does it turn your system on so you're not reaching around the back or the side, not only does it cool your system, because the Apple IIGS never came with a fan, but it also provides electrical protection for your 2GS. So the fan in question. The fan that came with this uses sleeve bearings. I am upgrading it with this Comair Roton ball bearing fan unit. This is SU2B1. I'm going to have links in the description below. Both of these are made by the same manufacturer, but the sleeve bearing one that Kensington used was a much cheaper model. This is a little more expensive. It's going to be about 60 bucks buying one of these. There are success stories of people using other AC fans in here, because remember, this is an AC fan. This isn't a DC fan, so I just can't swap this out as is with any computer fan. But a lot of people have successfully used transformers and put any DC fan in there and 3D print some ducting because it is a thicker fan. But we're not doing that. I want this to be as authentic as an experience as, well, what it should have been. Kensington should have used the better fan back in the day, but of course we need to cut costs where we can, and that's why we have this failure so many years later. So let's open it up, see if we can put in the newer fan that should be quieter and provide more airflow than the original fan that was installed.
So it's pretty easy getting into this. There are 8 screws that hold the top to the bottom of the case. There's 3 along the side and then the 2 center line that you see right there. The 3 along the side are under that weather stripping that I installed. I just put this weather stripping on not too long ago, so I'm going to keep it. I did think ahead and I poked holes on the side. You can kind of see those 3 holes where I'm putting the screwdriver right now. That way I don't have to remove the weather stripping anytime I take this apart. There's also 2 larger screws that hold the fan on. You could take those off now, or you can take them off later in the step. It doesn't really matter. You might be a little surprised since there seems to be a little bit more going on inside than what you think. Obviously we have the fan, all of our 4 power outlets, our main circuitry for power surge suppression, as well as the switches, Master and Auxiliary, which turn on each individual outlet. You do see this white residue. A few years ago, I had the bright idea, well, maybe I could lubricate this fan a little bit. That really didn't pay off, and I don't know if it made it sound worse or not, but it was worth a shot. I also have, you see little bits of rubber band down at the bottom. Again, that was another harebrained idea. Well, maybe I can buffer some of it. Now, because this is a metal fan, it actually is grounded. The entire case is metal. So once we unplug it, we actually have to remove the ground. I'll get all these old rubber bands out of here first. But you see this green wire is the ground. So we'll just unscrew that and make sure we transfer it over to the new fan and have a good connection. Remember, this is AC and metal body fan, so we want to make sure we don't have any issues. Even though the whole case itself is plastic for the System Saver, we just want to make sure we do the right thing here and button it up correctly. I just cut off the connection from the old fan. We're going to do a very lazy Western Union splice to the new fan, solder it, put a little bit of heat shrink on here to protect it from shorting out, plug it in, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, well, we got the new fan in, we got it plugged in. I do have this raised so we can test it, and let's see how it sounds. So it is remarkably quieter. You do hear it, you do hear the fan, which is expected, but you don't have that grinding, gurgling sound. And there is noticeably a lot more air being moved. This does have a higher rating for pushing air through. So that's very, very impressive. Let's just move the mic down here. So like I said, it's what you'd expect for a fan. So let's get the rest of this button back up and installed back into the 2GS and see how it sounds when everything is all stacked up. All right, well, we have the System Saver back in the stack. And not only does it look the way it should, because I think an Apple IIGS looks better with a System Saver here, it's a lot quieter, and surprisingly, even with the monitor on, there's a lot of airflow coming out of the side. I'd never felt air being pushed out of the side before with the old fan, but with this new one, there is noticeably a lot of airflow coming through here. Like I said before, you do hear the fan, which is expected, and in all honesty, I wanted that. That's why I didn't do the DC mod. I want this to be as close to the original experience as possible. It's similar to like any other systems. If I can have a hard drive in there, I want it. I want to hear the hard drive clicking sounds, Vice having a Blue SCSI. Now, don't get me wrong, I use Blue SCSIs and other modern devices, but I like the original, authentic experience. And just hear for yourself, it is noticeably quieter. Mike's probably picking more airflow than the actual fan itself. But yeah, I'm incredibly happy with this. Now noted, like we said, this is on the higher end of the price spectrum to replace a fan in the System Saver, but in my opinion, it gets you the most authentic experience, and quite honestly, it's the fan that Kensington should have put here in the first place, but didn't due to cost cutting. So that's gonna wrap up this video. If you like what we're doing here at Retro Tech or Die, like and subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll catch you next time.